What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It's another lovely day here, the 7th day of March, sitting at about $450. What a blessing it is to be able to acquire some Bitcoin Cash. What a mistake it is to let go of any of it at this price. We are heavily anticipating, well, plenty of things actually, but primarily right now what we're focused on is this double bottom idea. If this double bottom plays out, we will know for certain it becomes absolutely infallible that it's played out once we get above this high. I think that before that high, we can start to really get excited that it's working out. You know, there will be points of contention that will break through. But overall, breaking above this point here, that central point, that nipple as I like to call it, that should give us this kind of W formation. And if this is a W formation and it's successful, the thought once you get above this point here is that this move overall will take us above this point here. And that is very enticing. That definitely promotes some other thoughts, at least in my head, right? Imagine that we are getting above this high at some point. To me, I don't know about you guys, but that would seem as if we're breaking out of this range overall. And again, if you've been watching the channel, you know a breakout of this range. A breakout of this range implies a breakout of this range, implies a breakout of this overall triangle pattern here that we've got, right? It's all good things. A higher high, and I've been saying this, I think, the last few attempts that we've had here, but one of these times it's going to be right. A higher high will likely signal a breakout, the long-awaited breakout that we've been waiting for. And again, the ultimate target would be something, I think, between about like 2,300 to our all-time high area, maybe even above there, $4,300, with a specific target in mind of like $3,600. Which from here, what's the percentage growth? If we're correct in assuming this too, this should happen, before June. It's March now. It's the first week of March is over. April, May, June, that's less than 3 months away, less than a quarter of a year from now. We should see something on the lines of a 7 to an 8x move or more, maybe a little bit less, but something in there. That's why whenever I was saying $450 is an excellent price, it's a blessing. This is why. There's not too many cryptos that we have the expectation to do stuff like this with in the current environment that we're in, right? It'll be interesting to see. If not, again, we're still not in a terrible position. Even if we do go lower, it would be very unideal to go lower, because from here we've been holding above this trend line now for this will be our 9th month. It'd be very unideal to break below this trend line, but even if we do, we're still in this phase of consolidation. We can still come down, find support, and then try again later. Try again next year, try again later this year, and on top of all that, the best part is we get to buy Bitcoin Cash at a hell of a discount before it happens, right? I want to focus on the short-term stuff. I don't want to talk about the long-term stuff too much because we've been talking about the long-term stuff for quite a while, right? Let's go into the 1 hour time frame. We could talk more about the long-term stuff whenever we get closer to these levels here, specifically once we get above this point here. I think this $585 level is very important, very, very important, and how we interact, what we do there is going to be very important as well. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, as we're moving down, volume is also dying off. Okay. Do we have, let's just draw a line of best fit here. Lower highs, lower highs. You've kind of got a ascending low with a flat top here. This makes me think that we're going to move higher. Imagine, that would be great. This is actually a really good setup. I'm glad that we looked at it like this. We take this little triangle pattern here, whatever you want to call it, right there, this ascending triangle. And when we break out of this, one could imagine, I'm imagining, that the breakout is not going to stop right at this line, right? Therefore, in a sense, the breakout of this range, as Bitcoin Cash likes to do, it likes to set layers on layers, the breakout of this range will lead to a breakout of this range, even on the small time frame. So that's very encouraging. On top of all of that, we zoom out, this is a higher low in what is an overall double bottom kind of phase here. So that's exciting, man. It's Saturday. Bitcoin Cash can definitely move up over the weekend. I don't expect it to do anything crazy over the weekend, but certainly we could move back above these levels here and above this trend line here. We break above this downward sloping trend. What we're looking for is a pickup in volume. Now, we could see the volume pick up and still it's decaying overall. Ideally, what we want to see is something that quote unquote breaks this trend of volume too. It doesn't have to be bigger than this spike. That would be nice. That would definitely be a signal that things are going in the right direction, but it doesn't have to be bigger. Just break this trend in volume, break this trend in price together simultaneously when you do that, and that should imply that we are moving up overall, and that this next attempt should take us hopefully to those levels that are around $585, or at least somewhere around $500 to start, right? This next phase up. The RSI, at least in my opinion, is taking a bit of a neutral stance. A little bit of volatility here, going oversold, overbought, oversold. Here we are. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did continue to move higher. This is not typically the area that Bitcoin Cash likes to find resistance, so we would at least move a little bit higher if we were to find resistance. If not, we could be, again, doing something that's a little bit more productive than that, and that's the stance that I'm taking right now. Stochastics are weird. I think I said that yesterday, but they're weird. They just look weird. Price action sideways, so you're going to get weird readings. 1 hour time frame sideways. I don't expect much from the stochastics or the MACD to tell us anything, so I'm just going to move on. 4 hour time frame here. Again, we're pretty sideways but choppy. The stochastics and the MACD might not have as much weight, but the MACD, even though it looks like we're rejecting the zero here, and I get it, it definitely does look like that, the histogram is telling us that the bearish momentum is dying off. So this rejection is happening, quote unquote, but it's like the rejection is not rejecting. That's good. That's good. Whenever something should go a certain direction, but it's not, that typically implies that that's because you've got more work to do in the opposite of whatever the implied direction is there. Does that make sense? I like the RSI. I think the RSI is actually in a very good trajectory here. Right? We've got these higher lows. We could come down a little bit lower, but I guess we found a higher low. We don't, by the way, guys, we don't need to come down and touch this line. I think that this is fine here. That's still good. One might argue it's even better. Maybe this implies that we have a date with destiny. And we touch this line, we'll get a lower low in the RSI or a double bottom, and then get a higher low in the price, something like that. That's fine. That's still bullish. I don't really expect at this point, I guess what I'm getting at here is I don't expect that we go below this low. I want to see, what are we doing here? We got this low here to this high here. We went right down to the 786. We didn't even touch the 786. So weird. Oh, man. We're doing good stuff. It's not conventional to what we normally see. But I'll just go over this real quick. I forgot. We talked about this yesterday, right? Typically, when you break through the golden ratio on the first attempt, you go to the 786 or the 886 or somewhere in this area. Typically, you don't break through the golden ratio on the first attempt, but when you do, like we did here, this is where you find support. And very, very typically, you do not just crash all the way through. You at least see some type of volatility before going lower, right? At least some. The goal, but we didn't even actually hit the 786, which, again, that's not an unfulfilled prophecy that needs to happen. Maybe it is. We'll see. But it's not an unfulfilled prophecy that needs to happen. I think that this is actually bullish. It suggests front running. I'm not the only person who's aware of these dynamics. I'm not the only person who's aware of the 786. Maybe there's just more buying pressure here, not enough selling pressure, whatever you want to say. We moved up, and now we're finding support at the golden ratio. Guys, this is really good. And, of course, we slipped a little bit here on the 1 hour time frame. It's the weekend, whatever. 4 hour time frame, though, it looks like a clean holding of this golden ratio level. That's actually very bullish. And typically when you find support at the 786 after breaking through the golden ratio on your first attempt like we just did, I would still very much call this support at the 786. Typically we see rapid expansion back to this 236 level. At least something above the 382. So yeah, I do expect, personally, if all things go well, we should not go below this low, or if we do, it won't be too much lower, and we should be seeing prices that are back above 460 very soon, and that could very well send us on our way to higher prices here as well, like higher highs. Stochastics reset. We look like we're good to climb. The MACD honestly looks good to climb as well. We just got to do that, right? We got to do that. Daily time frame, I think if I'm right, I think we'll do that within the next 24 hours. We'll see a little bit of a breakout to the upside. The daily RSI is beat up, but again, we've got this double bottom, kind of bullish divergence here. Even if I'm wrong and we go lower, we're still in a position where we really could set up some bullish divergence on the daily RSI, so that's nice. We don't need it. We can just move up from here. But still, again, I just think that we've got options. Even if those options take us lower, even if those options take us higher, we've got options in which there are bullish avenues to rely on there. The stochastics rejecting the oversold zone is not necessarily a good thing, but on the bright side, it's just the blue line. I think the orange line, I guess the orange line looks like it's rejecting too. I think the orange line rejecting is a little bit more something to be taken seriously. But it's not the end of the day yet. We've got 10 hours and 48 minutes left in this day. Let's see how it goes. The 1 hour and the 4 hour make me think that we're going to move up by the end of the day. So maybe this orange line and the blue line, they're not sloped down anymore. Maybe they are sloped up. We'll see. The MACD is not really that good. But oftentimes you look your worst when you're at your lowest. So there's that. We certainly can go lower, but this is the lowest reading that we've seen on the MACD in quite some time. It's not that we haven't seen lower readings. We've definitely seen lower readings, but it's not so common to do that. I don't really have anything else to say. It's the same old stuff, my friends. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I wonder what the LRO is saying. We don't really check on the LRO too much. I feel like it's better on the short-term stuff. Yeah, right now the LRO would say that we are flipping bullish. There's a reversion here. The level to watch as far as this thing's concerned would be something around like 466. So we're at least expecting a move that would take us around there. Will we find resistance or will we break through? That's going to be the line of contention there. I think so. Obviously, these areas are going to be very important as well. Yeah, we're getting a couple of revision, a couple of reversal signals here at the bottom, so that's nice to see. This indicator's not perfect, but again, I think on the short-term stuff, it's actually a little bit better. And the indicators that I typically use right now, since we're choppy and sideways, they're not as reliable on the short-term stuff, so I think that might be nice. And then look at the daily time frame, and we've got the revision there as well, which is not always perfect, but just look, reversion here, we went up. Reversion here, we went up. Reversion here, we went up. No reversion there, but we still have the flip in the histogram down here. That's what the triangle means. Reversion here, we moved up. We got the reversion here. At least something. At least something. And again, if that something is a little bit extra, if we can get above this point here, you guys, we've got this double bottom W shape playing out. I've got hope, man. I've got a lot of hope right here. It looks really good. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.